Greetings and welcome to the Writing Center's workshop titled Planning a Paper. My name is Christian Myrick and I am one of the tutors in the Writing Center. So today we're going to address planning a paper and all that it entails. But before we address planning a paper, we are going to address the significance of planning in general. Generally, planning is essential because it aids in achieving our objectives. Not only does it aid us in achieving our objectives, but it also aids us in using our resources responsibly so that we can achieve our intended goal. Benjamin Franklin, who is regarded as one of the founding fathers of the United States, made a statement that is so profound. It summarizes the importance of planning in a nutshell. If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. That's the statement he made. And what he is saying is if you do not plan, you will not be successful in achieving your intended goal. So now that we've addressed the importance of planning in general, we will now address the importance of planning an essay. So it is important to plan an essay, just like it is important to plan anything. Planning an essay ensures that your argument is coherent and easy to follow. It allows you to work out a logical structure and an endpoint for your argument before writing. Planning will also keep you focused and loyal to your writing purpose. And planning beforehand makes the revising and the editing process much easier. So, these are some steps or some tips on how to plan an essay. So, to plan an essay, the first thing you need to do is you need to understand. You need to understand the prompt and your purpose for writing. You need to identify. You need to identify what you already know and what you need to know about your topic. You also need to research. Research to fill in knowledge gaps and further ground yourself in the topic. Construct or develop your thesis while you're researching. You also need to determine a structure of organization that is appropriate for your topic and your purpose. You also need to develop points in support of your argument and decide on the most logical order for the points. And lastly, you need to select. You need to select examples that are relevant and adequately illustrate your main points. When we plan an essay, or when you plan an essay, it is important that you organize your idea. Organizing your ideas are essential when planning an essay. So when we think about organizing our ideas, I want you to think about it. I want you to think about organizing your ideas as when you organize your room or organize some papers or organize some information. So similarly, when information in an essay is organized clearly and strategically, the reader is better able to access and comprehend it. Your ideas should be progressive and focused, not jumbled and scattered. So, as we see, here is a tray that is organized. You have pens, you have markers, you have scissors, you have um, uh, you have paper clips, and it's all organized in its own compartments. So, when you develop ideas, you're going to organize them in a similar way. You're going to put them in certain compartments and decide what goes where and what goes together so that when you assemble your essay, your ideas are easy to follow and it's organized. Now, Organizing your ideas lead to focused paragraphs. Planning an essay ensures the paragraphs that form your essay are focused. And focused paragraphs keep your essay on topic and ensure the content in your body paragraphs align with the thesis statement. So when you organize your ideas, you have focused paragraphs. And it's important to have focused paragraphs so your reader does not get lost in what you intend on saying in the essay. So now we're going to look at two paragraphs and we're going to talk about which paragraph is more focused. So here's the first sample paragraph. In Act 3, Scene 4, Polonius hides behind an arras in Gertrude's chamber in order to spy on Hamlet at the bidding of the king. Detecting something stirring, Hamlet draws his sword and kills Polonius, thinking he has killed Claudius. Gertrude exclaims, "Oh, what a rash and bloody deed is this!" And her words mark the turning point in Hamlet's moral decline. Now, Hamlet has blood on his hands and the blood of the wrong person. But rather than engage in self criticism, Hamlet immediately turns his mother's words against her. A bloody deed, almost as bad, good mother, as kill a king and marry with his brother. One of Hamlet's most serious shortcomings is his unfair treatment of women. He often accuses them of sins they could not have committed. It is doubtful that Gertrude even knows Claudius killed her previous husband. Hamlet goes on to ask Gertrude to compare the image of the two kings, old Hamlet and Claudius. In Hamlet's words, old Hamlet has Hyperion's curls, the front of Jove, and an eye like Mars. Despite Hamlet's unfair treatment of women, he is motivated by one of his better qualities, his idealism. Now, that was sample paragraph one. We're now going to look at sample paragraph two, and we're going to determine which paragraph is more focused. This is sample paragraph two. One of Hamlet's most serious moral shortcomings is his unfair treatment of women. In Act 3, Scene 1, he denies to Ophelia ever having expressed his love for her, using his feigned madness as cover for his cruelty. Though his rantings may be an act, they cannot hide his obsessive anger at one particular woman, his mother. He counsels Ophelia to marry a fool, for wise men know well enough what monsters you make of them, thus blaming her in advance for the sin of adultery. The logic is plain. If Hamlet's mother made a cuckold out of Hamlet's father, then all women are capable of doing the same and therefore share the blame. The fact that Gertrude's hasty remarriage does not actually constitute adultery only underscores Hamlet's tendency to find women faults that do not exist. In Act 3, Scene 4, he goes as far as to suggest that Gertrude shared responsibility in the murder of Hamlet's father. By condemning women for actions they did not commit, Hamlet is doing just what he accuses Guildenstern of doing to him. He is plucking out the heart of their mystery. Now that we have reviewed sample paragraph one and sample paragraph two, we need to be clear about what a focused paragraph looks like. When we are assessing whether a paragraph is focused or not, we are looking for a paragraph with a clear topic sentence that conveys the main point of the paragraph and cohesive supporting details that provide evidence for that topic sentence. Now that we have read sample paragraph one, And sample paragraph 2, we will now determine which sample paragraph is more focused. And the more focused sample paragraph is paragraph 2. Paragraph 2 has a clear topic sentence that conveys the main point of the entire paragraph. And the topic sentence is one of Hamlet's most serious moral shortcomings is his unfair treatment of women. That's the main point of the entire paragraph. And after the topic sentence, we have supporting details and evidence to back it up. We talk about how Hamlet denies to Ophelia ever having expressed his love for her. And then we talk about how he suggests that Gertrude shared responsibility in the murder of Hamlet's father. This shows his unfair treatment of women, which is the topic sentence. And this is why the paragraph is more focused than sample paragraph 1, because sample paragraph 1 is kind of all over the place, and we don't get to the main point until the middle. So, all in all, sample paragraph 2 is more focused. Now that we are familiar with and we know what a focused paragraph looks like, we are now going to discuss the different methods of organization. Now we're going to discuss the different methods of organizing your ideas. There are 5 different methods to organizing your ideas. You have the most to least, or as some refer to, the least to most. You have the chronological method. You have the spatial method. You have the compare and contrast method. And you have the cause and effect method. First, we have the most to least, or as some call it, the least to most method. And the purposes for this method include persuading and convincing, ranking items by their importance, benefit, or significance, and illustrating a situation, a problem, or solution. With most to least, ordering, a writer organizes information by importance, relevance, familiarity, or interest. Now, when you organize your ideas, you're going to organize your ideas according to the certain type of essay that you are writing. Now, as you know, we have all types of essays. We have argumentative essays, we have narrative essays, we have descriptive essays, we have classification and division essays, and we have cause and effect or process analysis essays. So, with the most to least or the least to most method, one of the types of essays in which the most to least pattern of organization is beneficial is the argumentative essay. Now, this does not imply that the most to least method is only beneficial to argumentative essays, but it is just beneficial. Now we know that an argumentative essay is a type of essay that presents an argument. And using the most to least method is beneficial uh, for an argumentative essay or for organizing your ideas to form an argumentative essay because it will allow you to create a stance and support that stance with evidence. When you organize your ideas from most important to least important or least important to most important, you use the transition phrases more important, most difficult, still harder, by far the most expensive, even more damaging, worse yet, and so on, which will help form a cohesive and coherent argument and a strong argument that is supported by evidence. So now that we've reviewed most to least, we are now going to review the chronological method of organization. With chronological ordering, You structure information according to the order in which they happened or will happen. The purposes for this method include explaining the history of an event or a topic, telling story or relating an experience, explaining how to do something or make something, and detailing the steps in a process. Now, when we are talking about the chronological method of ordering, the chronological method of ordering works best when you are writing a narrative essay. And as we know, a narrative essay tells a story. And when you're telling a story, you start from the beginning, and then you have a middle, and you have an end. So when you organize your ideas using the chronological or the sequential order, you are starting from the beginning, and you're going from the middle, and you're going to the end. And this is helping to form your narrative essay. And when you use this method, you have already done most of your work. So now you all you would have to do is to assemble the essay. The next method to organize your ideas is spatial ordering. With spatial ordering, information is structured according to location or relation to other information. The purposes for this method include helping readers visualize something as you want them to see it, evoking a sense using the senses, sight, touch, taste, smell, and sound, and breaking aspects of a topic into categories or parts. Now, with the spatial method, it is best to use the spatial method when you are writing a descriptive essay. And as we know, a descriptive essay describes something, whether it's an object, a place, or a person. Now, when we're describing something, the first thing we think about is how it looks, how it sounds, how it smells, which refers to our five senses. So it's best to use the spatial method of organization to organize your ideas. So most of the work is already done when you are writing a descriptive essay. Because when you're describing something, you're going to use your five senses. And so when we use a spatial method, the information is structured according, to location. And senses is a huge part of that. Where is it located in terms of this or in terms of that? And how does it look? How does it sound? How does it smell? And you're going to break it down into categories or parts. So when we're describing something or writing a descriptive essay, it is best to use the spatial method of organization. Now we're going to look at some examples of spatial ordering. So, when we talk about spatial ordering, here's the first example. In describing a shelf or desk, I might describe the items on the left first, then move gradually towards the right. When I describe a room, I might start with what I see as I enter the door, then what I see as I step into the middle of the room, and finally to the far side. In explaining some political or social problem, I might discuss first the concerns of the East Coast, then those of the Midwest, then those of the West Coast. Describing a person, I might start at the feet and move up to the head or the other way around. And lastly, some other transitions that might be used when using the spatial method of organization are just to the right, a little further on, to the south of Memphis, a few feet behind, in New Mexico, turning left on the pathway, and so on. So this is spatial ordering. And again, spatial ordering works best when you're writing a descriptive essay. Now that we have reviewed the spatial method of organization, we will now review the compare and contrast method of organization. With compare and contrast, similarities and or differences are highlighted between two or more elements. The purposes for this method include illustrating how subjects are alike or unlike each other, helping readers better understand one subject by relating it to another, and arguing for the significance of one subject over another. One type of essay in which the compare and contrast method of organization is beneficial is the classification and division essay. Now, with the classification and division essay, this type of essay takes a whole topic and splits it up into parts and places the divided information into various categories. And when you split up a topic, comparing and contrasting different aspects of the idea can help you organize the ideas in a more cohesive way. This is why using the compare and contrast method is most beneficial for the classification and division essay. So when we have a classification and division essay, think of it like a newspaper. All of the information is divided into different parts: news, advertisements, and class fields. Then the information is classified into different categories. For example, news may be categorized as sports, international, local, lifestyle, etc. So, with all of these different categories, you can compare and contrast them, talk about how they're alike and how they're different, or list how they're alike and how they're different. And this will help you split the topic up into different parts by listing like these aspects are alike and these aspects are different. And so, this is why using the compare and contrast method of organization is best for a classification and division essay. Now, we're going to review the cause and effect method of organization. With cause and effect, or casual analysis, the writer examines the root causes, root effects, or various causes and effects related to an event, condition, or phenomena. The purposes for this method include showing how events are influenced or caused by others, writing an argument that proposes solutions to a problem. So, when we are using the cause and effect method of organization, it is best to use the cause and effect method of organization when you are writing a process analysis essay. And as we may or may not know, a process analysis essay is a kind of expository essay that explains the process or action someone needs to take to complete a task. Okay? And so when we're organizing our ideas by cause and effect, we are showing a process in many ways. We are saying, because this happened, that happened. And because that happened, this happened. And so on and so forth. And while we are doing this, we are exuding a process. And when we exuding a process is best for a process analysis essay. So this is why when we are writing a process analysis essay, it is best to use the cause and effect, because that gives us a method of organizing our ideas, and it also gives us a direction that we can take our essay in. We can go, because this happened, that happened. And so we're describing a process and we're analyzing how the process happened. We use cause and effect. We have a direction, and our ideas are organized in a cohesive way. Now, take a look at this office. It needs organizing because things are scattered all over the place. So I want you to take some time and think about what method of organization would you use to organize this office? Would you use compare and contrast? Would you use the spatial method? Would you use the cause and effect method? Would you use the most to least method? So I want you to take some time just to think about that. So now that we've addressed the different methods of organizing your ideas, we are now going to discuss using an outline to plan. When planning an essay, it is important to use an outline. When using an outline, it is important to identify the assignment. It's important to identify the purpose of the essay. It's important to identify who the intended audience of the essay is. And it's important to identify the essay's thesis statement. Now, when we're creating an outline or using an outline, we are mapping out our ideas so that most of the work is already done when when it's time to draft our essay. So when we identify the assignment, let's say your instructor asked the class to write an expository essay on the typical steps a high school student would follow to apply to college. Okay? So let's say we have to identify the purpose. So the purpose is what? To explain the process for applying to college. And then we have to identify who the intended audience of the essay is. The intended audience is high school students intending to apply for college. So then we have to identify the essay's thesis statement, which is, and then we identify the essay's thesis statement. So the essay's thesis statement is when applying to college, a student follows a certain process, which includes choosing the right schools and preparing the application materials. So these are the tips for creating an outline. You're going to identify the assignment, identify the purpose, identify who the intended audience is, and identify the essay's thesis statement. And now that we've reviewed the tips on creating an outline, we are now going to review the different types of outlines. There are two main types of outlines. There is the alphanumeric outline and there's the full sentence outline. And when we outline, I'm reminding you that we outline to map out our entire essay. So the alphanumeric outline is the most common type of outline and is usually instantly recognizable to most people. The formatting follows these characters in this order: Roman numerals, capitalized letters, Arabic numerals, and lowercase letters. When using the alphanumeric outline, keep the standard essay format in mind because it is the basis for forming an alphanumeric outline. So, to remind you, the formal essay format is first you will have the introduction, in which the thesis statement is the last sentence of the introduction. And then you will have your body, which makes up um, different paragraphs, and you will have at least four. And then you have a conclusion. So when you're constructing your alphanumeric outline, keep the essay format in mind, and you will structure and outline your essay according to the essay format when you're using the alphanumeric outline. Here's an example of an alphanumeric outline. Let's say we're writing about the college application process. So our first Roman numeral will be choose desired colleges, and our second Roman numeral will be prepare the application. And under that and under those Roman numerals, we would have our letters, which is under the first Roman numeral, we have letter A, visit and evaluate college campuses, and letter B, visit and evaluate college websites. And under letter B, we have our numbers 1 and 2. which is number one, look for interesting classes. Number two, note important statistics. So with the alphanumeric outline, we're breaking down exactly how we're breaking down the college application process, okay? And we're using Roman numerals and letters to break down our ideas so that when we write our essay, things will be more organized, okay? And under the second Roman numeral, we have prepare application. And so when we prepare our application, what would we do? We would write our personal statement. And when we write our personal statement, to write a personal statement, we would then choose an interesting topic, and then we would describe an influential person in our lives. Okay? Describing an influential person is part of choosing an interesting topic. So, with this outline, we're simply just breaking down our ideas using Roman numerals and letters to organize everything. The next outline is the full sentence outline. The full sentence outline format is essentially the same as the alphanumeric outline. The main difference is that full sentences are required at each level of the outline. This outline is most often used when preparing a traditional essay. Here is an example of a full sentence outline. Okay, so let's say we're writing about man made pollution. So, to write full sentences, we would say man made pollution is the primary cause of global warming. And under that, we would write greenhouse gas emissions are widely identified by the scientific community to be harmful. And then we would write the burning of coal and fossil fuels are the primary releasers of hazardous greenhouse gases. So again, with the full sentence outline, we're breaking down our topic. Our topic is man made pollution being the cause of global warming. And so one part of man made pollution is greenhouse gas. Okay? So greenhouse gas is man made. And so greenhouse gas emissions are harmful, and the scientific community identifies greenhouse gas as harmful. So we have man made pollution, and so to break down man made pollution, we list greenhouse gas. So then we assess what causes greenhouse gas, the burning of coal and fossil fuels. So burning coal and fossil fuels release greenhouse gas, which causes global warming, which is not good for our planet. So with this full sentence outline, we're breaking down our ideas to show exactly what is happening here and how to write about global warming and its effects. So we're breaking it down. So we start with man made pollution, and then we break it down to greenhouse gas, and then we break it down to the burning of coal and fossil fuels. The burning of coal and fossil fuels causes greenhouse gas, and greenhouse gas falls under the big umbrella of man made pollution, being the cause of global warming. So, with this outline, we are again breaking down our topic so that our ideas are cohesive and they flow, and that the organization is there within our papers. Okay? Now that we went over the different types of organization and we've went over the different types of outlines and we've talked about the importance of planning and all that it entails, now it's time to start drafting. Once you have organized your ideas and outlined them, you have completed the planning process and you are ready to start drafting. But before you start drafting, here are some helpful tips. The first helpful tip is to study. Study your essay question intently. The next helpful tip is to write. Write the question out in full. The next helpful tip is to spend. Spend at least half an hour brainstorming. The next helpful tip is to write. Write your thoughts on the essay question subject and various aspects. And the last helpful tip is to note. Note the main points you should include to answer the essay question. This concludes our workshop on planning a paper. If you have any other questions, please make an appointment with a tutor at morehouse.mywconline.com. In the meantime, live well and stay in peace. Thank you.